a great example of the principles of a shadow we can show on a cylinder. So we're already familiar with a cylinder. So without adding on too large an amount of construction, I'm just going to place it on the paper. Okay, so the idea is that if we establish a point which will be our light source, establish the plane of the ground, and see the point where if we take our light source and drop it to the ground, where that is, then it's actually quite easy to construct all our shadows from our understanding of shadows. So all you need to do is take that point and extend a line from that point onto a tangent on the ellipse at the bottom, the base of our cylinder. And you're going to do the same on the closer side as well as in the back where you can't see it. And then you're going to take it all the way as far as possible, like so. Okay, so then you're going to take that point, that tangent of that line, and you're going to take that line up all the way. So you're just going to have a vertical line that moves upwards. And then you might even want to connect the 2 points on opposite sides, kind of hint at where that line would be on the other side, and connect them here. So that's what we have so far. So the next thing you're going to do is, from the actual source of our light, you're going to connect the point at the upper ellipse with that point, aim, like we've practiced, and take it all the way to that line. You're going to do the same thing with the other point. Almost, it's close enough, to the other line. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to take a line all the way into the cylinder, going through the center. You're going to find that point right there, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to extend a line from our light source into that point, and it has to intersect with that line right there. Now, that's a little curved, but it's okay. It's actually a little bit further out. And then here you're going to connect them. So there is a way to explain this that will get you a shape that's considerably more accurate, but I think this will be enough for our purposes. And then you can clean this up. Okay, so here's what we have. So the important thing to understand here is that there are a few parts of what you can sort of overall consider a shadow. The line here is one of the more important ones. This line right here is the terminator line because it signifies the termination of our light. Everything behind that line is now in shadow. So after the terminator line, you have an area that is commonly referred to as the core shadow. And so I'm going to shade it in a little bit. I'm going to shade it in just a bit. Okay. That's our terminator line. That is our core shadow. The part that is behind the core shadow is reflected light. So I'm going to shade that in also. And as you see, it's actually a lighter value, a lighter tone. Most people, I don't know how, like I've heard people use the word tone, and then I've heard people use the word value, but I'm actually going to just keep switching between them, and I think that's actually it's actually to some degree convenient because you like as you interact with other people, you can adapt to their particular usage of the term. I prefer tone, but if it depends on what your preference is, really. So the important distinction here, so that's what we have at the moment. This right here is reflected light. Okay, so the idea is that there's a lot of ambient light in the environment, and so it even goes to the point that the light that's coming from our main source of light is going to even hit here and or a wall, and it will reflect back into our shadow, making it a bit lighter. This is not happening to such a large extent in the core, in our core shadow. Then off of our terminator, but on the ground or on the table or on another object, is something called a cast shadow, because it's being cast from one object onto another. And here we even have the idea of we have the shape of our cast shadow, and we will be talking about it as we go into this. And there are things that are optional if you observe them, and there are others that are not. But we can start off by saying that I'll write here that this is cast shadow. What's most important is that all of these components, the terminator line, core shadow, reflected light, and cast shadows they all have to be on the piece of paper. If you can't have an illusion of a shadow if you don't have all of those components. Okay, so there are a few more important aspects to what I am showing you here. Something that always has to happen is that your terminator line and your core shadow, as well as your cast shadow, have to be a darker tone than your reflected light. So in essence, they have to, like, so even if I know that we haven't covered the patterns of light on a sphere yet, but the important thing is that you establish your terminator, you establish your core shadow, you establish your cast shadow, and then you make sure that your reflected light is a lighter value, a lighter tone than either of these. So you have a lighter area in between a darker area. And so there are elements here that will become clearer when we start talking about halftones, which are the lightness or darkness of the tones that are not in shadow.
There is a lot of value in online art education. We have so much great instruction on NMA that is so easily accessible. Even when I was in school learning to draw and paint, nothing was online. Wherever you are in the world, you can get this instruction. And not only can you watch these lessons that are so valuable and so in-depth and so passionately instructed, but you can watch them again and again and again.